we were talking about Big Bertha, right?
Yep.
The backstory. So you just found out from Mrs. Cooper a few days ago that she was built in 2007?
No, she was built in 2004.
2004.
So
Okay.
they brought her down when they purchased her. They brought her in 2007 and brought her to Corpus in 2007. So from 2007 till now, she's been putting in community work because Mr. Cooper was very heavily involved in the church. He was, always helped raise money for the church, the kids, the buck parade, just countless other things. So she's, and I just found this out, like I was telling you right now, January, on the 24th, Friday is when I found this part out.
Yeah.
Because I asked her, I wanted to know more backstory on her, about how he built her. And, she's like, no, he didn't know. We bought her in 2007. I was like,
Wow.
what? I said, so she's really been putting in community work.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Since before I purchased her. So, it's just something that's adding to her legacy of, you know what I mean? Cool. And, story and stuff like that. So, I was stoked when I found that out. I was like, wow, it's crazy. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Wow. So since 2004, and you got her in 2007, you said, or
no, I got her in, so 22, the day after Uvalde school
Uvalde,
shooting.
right?
Yeah,
so
the day after is when I purchased her, and then the next day I took off to Uvalde to go cook.
Wow, with Big Bertha.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Because a lot of people, I got a lot of phone calls. People are like, hey, you know what I mean? Are you gonna go? And and sure enough, I said yeah. So I put it out there on social media, and that post went viral.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, Corpus showed up so heavy for that because everybody could relate to it. There's somebody's a mom, somebody's a dad, somebody's a grandparent, somebody's a brother, somebody's a sister, and and it's so close to home because Uvalde is only a little over an hour and a half away. So people were just so touched by it. They were like, and everybody knew me, so they're like, hey, what do you need, man? I had doctors, lawyers, politicians, people just calling, donating. Like, hey, man, we ended up leaving with, I can't even tell you how many trailers full of food to go down there and cook. I was only supposed to be there one day. I ended up being there like 3 days, man. Cooking. So, you know what I mean? And like I said, just hearing that, her legacy before I even had her, she had one, you know what I mean? So it's just like, so shout out to Mr. and Mrs. Cooper, like I said, for bringing her down here and, you know what I mean? And then giving me the opportunity to purchase her and, keep doing what I do at, and finally having my own, barbecue pit. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
It's a big pit. She's a big girl.
So you've done a lot of barbecue benefits for people in need. Can you share one that really meant a lot to you?
There's actually two that,
wow.
Actually three. I'm going to say three that, they all mean something to me. Every single one of them, whether, and I've always tell people like this, man, I've buried more kids than I ever want to think about. You know what I mean? When it comes to this for, all kinds, kids with cancer, kids that, unfortunately, you know what I mean? Due to negligence of the mothers and their fathers or whatever. But the first one that really took a toll on me was in 2014. We did the benefit for the two girls that got killed on their drive-by on Sherrill Drive.
Wow.
They were two 9-year-old little girls. When I tell you that shook the city, or we cooked over 2,500 hamburgers, and I don't want to say how much money we raised, but it got to a point that we had to have police escort because we had trash bags and trash bags full of money to go to the Treviño funeral home and go and count this money and make sure everything was good. And then, we talked on the last podcast, Uriah, you know what I mean? That was something that really, really, and to this day, it's very emotional for me because, I have daughters, you know what I mean? And, Jimmy and, her grandparents are wonderful people. And then the one that I did last year on New Year's, for Amethyst, she was the girl that had got killed by a stray bullet on New Year's Day.
Oh, man.
I was in vacation. I was in Denver, Colorado when I got the phone call. Spoke with the dad and the mom, and and we ended up having mutual friends. And my buddy James, me and him had a conversation and figured out, hey, what we can do to help this family. We did, and those three right there were like I said, they all mean something to me.
Yeah.
They all, but those three, I would say, that really, really impacted my life. You know what I mean? Because no kid should ever, a parent should have to go through that, and
Yeah.
and bury their child. Right? We all want the concept that we want to go before our kids. So those three to this day, what I mean, hold a special place in my heart. Where, because I'm close. Those three, I'm very close with either the mom, the dad, or the mom and dad when it comes to that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's, and some of them we're still seeking justice for. So,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? So we stand with the family, and, they know that if they need me, the community, for anything, we're there to continue to help.
Awesome, man. Man, that's awesome. Yeah. It's funny how the memorable ones are younger
Yeah.
people that have passed away and not people that are older or the same age as us.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's amazing.